My mom sent a message, "We know you lied about your promotion. You've always been a wannabe." I replied, "You're right. I lied. I wasn't promoted. I bought the company." Their silence lasted for days. Then my brother emailed me, "Can you still co-sign my loan?" I didn't reply. Instead, I sent him one line, "Ask mom why she thinks I'm a fraud." What happened next changed everything. My name's Naomi. I'm 46 now. I live alone in Fort Collins, Colorado, in a modest but beautiful house I bought myself. I'm divorced, no kids, a bit of a workaholic, sure. But I built my life with my own two hands. No shortcuts. No handouts. I run a regional logistics company. Actually, I own it now. That part matters. But back then, before the story really began, I was just the bossy daughter to my mom, Bernice, and the uptight sister to my younger brother, Lyle. I've always been ambitious, organized, and driven. From as early as middle school, I kept binders for everything. Budget binders. Study schedules. Even career path options at age 13. Lyle, on the other hand, was free-spirited, charming, and utterly allergic to responsibility. He coasted through school, got into mild trouble but nothing serious, and somehow still got treated like the golden child. I still remember my mom's face lighting up when he walked in, like sunshine just stepped through the door. When I got a full ride to Northwestern, Mom said, "Don't let it change who you are." When Lyle dropped out of community college, she said, "College isn't for everyone, baby. Maybe he'll start something of his own." It was always like that. Still, I kept going. I moved to Chicago, got my MBA, worked 80-hour weeks, got promoted faster than most. Eventually, I moved to Denver for a leadership role, and then, 5 years ago, I relocated to Fort Collins when a mid-sized logistics firm recruited me as VP. That was the job I had when I started quietly buying up shares of the company. Mom never once visited any of my homes. Not in Chicago. Not in Denver. Not even in Fort Collins, though I invited her every Thanksgiving. She said, "It's too cold up there, or you're always working anyway." Lyle, meanwhile, stayed close to her in Missouri. He was always working on some project. Selling coins, day trading crypto, trying to develop an app. His ideas changed every few months. He was always in a tight spot, yet still found a way to lease new cars or go on ski trips with friends. I should mention, Dad passed away when I was 19. Heart attack. Sudden and brutal. He was the only person in the house who believed in me without strings attached. After he died, it felt like I became the family's scapegoat. No matter what I did, I was either showing off or trying too hard. A few months ago, I missed a family Zoom call for Mom's birthday. I was in the middle of finalizing my acquisition of the company. It was tense and confidential. I sent flowers, a handwritten card, and even texted Lyle to pass along my love and apologies. Never heard back. 3 days later, I got the message. "We know you lied about your promotion. You've always been a wannabe. No wonder nobody wants to marry you." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't even remember telling them I'd been promoted. I'd said I was moving into a new role, but I guess Lyle must have said something, or maybe Mom just assumed. I was shaking. It wasn't just the cruelty of the words. It was the fact that they still, even now, assumed the worst about me. That I was lying. Pretending. Performing. So I wrote back. "You're right. I lied. I wasn't promoted. I bought the company." And I hit send. 3 days passed. Silence. No reply. No follow-up. No apology. Not even a "what do you mean?" Then I got an email from Lyle. "Hey, quick thing, can you still co-sign my loan? I'm refinancing the Audi and the bank wants a stronger profile on the application." I sat in stunned silence for a full minute. "You accuse me of being a fraud, and then you turn around and ask me to vouch for you with my credit?" I didn't reply to the email. Instead, I typed a single sentence, "Ask Mom why she thinks I'm a fraud." I pressed send and put my phone on silent. Then I packed an overnight bag, got in my car, and drove to Estes Park. I stayed in a little rental cabin for the weekend with no signal, hiked during the day, read at night, and sat with the kind of quiet that doesn't feel heavy. When I came back, I had 2 missed calls from Lyle, 1 voicemail from Mom, and an email with the subject line, "We need TO talk." I didn't open it. I went to work. That Monday morning, around 11 a.m., my assistant Rosario buzzed me and said, "Naomi, there's a guy here. Says he's your brother." Lyle? I froze. I hadn't seen him in person in over 5 years. I told Rosario to let him in. Lyle looked, worse for wear. His skin had that sunken look, like he'd been stressed or sick. His clothes were expensive, but his posture betrayed him, shoulders curled, like shame clung to him. "Can we talk?" he asked. We went into the small conference room, just off the hallway. He sat down slowly, looked around like he was in a museum. I wondered if this was the first time he'd seen me in my element. "I didn't believe it," he said. "You actually bought the company?" "I did." He ran his hand through his hair. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Why would I?" I said, evenly. "You never believed anything I said anyway." I thought. "I don't know if you were just doing that again. Trying to sound impressive." "I wasn't trying," I said. "I just was." He winced. "Look, Mom told me you exaggerated. That you always made things seem bigger than they were." "That's convenient," I replied. "Makes it easier to feel superior." There was a long silence. He wouldn't look at me. Then, quietly, "I didn't know what to say after your text." She blew up on me after I asked. "What did she say?" "She said she was just trying to keep you grounded. That you always had your head in the clouds. That you needed reality checks sometimes." I leaned back. "She's been giving me reality checks since I was 12. Lyle looked up, eyes wet. "Naomi. I'm sorry." And for a second, I believed him. But it didn't change what came next. I nodded, but didn't say anything. His apology, assuming it was genuine, floated in the air, fragile and awkward. It was like watching someone patch a leak with tissue paper. Too little, way too late. He leaned forward, resting his arms on the conference table like we were back at Mom's house, teenagers again, whispering so she wouldn't hear. But this time, I wasn't the one leaning in. "I didn't know it was that bad between you and Mom," he said. "It always was," I replied. "You just didn't see it. Or didn't want to." He looked uncomfortable. He opened his mouth like he was about to object, then closed it again. We both knew the truth. Lyle had been her mirror image. She doted on him, praised him, and protected him from criticism. I got her clipped tone, her backhanded compliments, her constant, suffocating sense of disappointment. "She said you were dramatic. That you took things too personally." I gave a bitter laugh. Funny how people always say that when they don't want to take accountability. He stared at the table. "I didn't come here just about the loan," he finally said. "I came to say I'm proud of you." I let that sink in. It was strange hearing it from him. And it didn't make me feel warm or healed. Just hollow. Like hearing it now only underscored how long I'd waited to hear it before. "And the loan?" I asked. He flushed. "Yeah. I was hoping you'd still consider it. I thought maybe if we talked." "I'm not co-signing anything for you, Lyle." He nodded slowly, as if he'd already known the answer before he asked. "Okay," he said quietly. "I get it." "I don't think you do," I said. "Because I'm not doing it just because of Mom. I'm not doing it because I don't trust you." That surprised him. "Wait, what?" "I've watched you chase one shortcut after another your entire adult life. You never finish anything. You don't follow through. You always blame something else, a bad market, bad timing, someone else's fault. And I used to make excuses for you. I thought that's what my family did." I looked him dead in the eyes. "But it's not helping you anymore. And it sure as hell isn't helping me." He blinked hard, like the words physically hit him. "Do you know how hard it is to own a company?" I continued. "Every day, people assume you don't belong at the table. I've spent 2 decades proving myself over and over, just to have Mom tell me I'm a liar the minute something good happens." He whispered, "She's wrong about you. She's always been wrong about me." And then I stood. The meeting was over. My point was made. He stayed seated, like he didn't know whether to stand or say more or apologize again. I walked out of the room. Rosario gave me a small glance as I passed. She must have heard part of it. I didn't care. That night, I got a voicemail from my mom. I didn't listen to it. Not right away. I poured a glass of wine, fed Kiska, my husky lab mix, and sat on my back porch. The summer wind was just turning cooler, that early autumn edge creeping in. I watched the stars blink above the trees and wondered if Mom even remembered half the things she'd said to me over the years. The little cuts that added up to something so deep I hadn't even realized how much it still bled until this week. I finally listened to the voicemail. Naomi. I heard what you told your brother. I don't understand why you're being so harsh. You know he's not perfect. None of us are. But you've changed. You used to care more. You used to be softer. I don't know what happened to you. I don't even recognize you anymore. I saved the message and turned off my phone. Because I did know what happened to me. I stopped needing them to believe in me. I stopped asking for their validation like it was oxygen. The next morning, I went to work and met with the warehouse leads about the upcoming winter season. We made plans, scheduled supply runs, mapped out a strategy. I was present. I was clear. That same afternoon, I saw that Lyle had posted something on Instagram, a photo of his Audi with a caption that read, "Time to let go." New chapter loading, no tag. No message. Just vibes. A few days later, he texted me again. A picture of a help wanted sign at a logistics hub in Boulder. Then, separately, "Guess I'll try your world for a while. Let's see what it's like not to run from the grind." I didn't reply. I didn't have to. It felt like the first time in my life where I wasn't reacting, wasn't trying to fix, wasn't trying to earn my way into someone's good graces. I was just existing. Whole. Grounded. Not softer, like Mom wanted. But not hard either. Just enough. And then the next text came, this time from Mom. "I want to talk. Not argue. Just talk." I stared at it for a long time. And I thought about every time I'd tried to talk before, really talk, and how it always ended with her reminding me how I was too sensitive, too serious, too much. But I didn't reply yet. I needed to sit quietly a little longer. A week passed. I didn't respond to Mom's message. She didn't follow up. That was her pattern. One olive branch, usually thin and half-rotten, and when I didn't take it, she'd retreat, then later act like it had never happened. Or worse, claim she was the one who'd been waiting on me. It had always been like that. I'd be the one trying to rebuild, she'd give me the silent treatment until I came crawling back. But this time I wasn't crawling. I wasn't moving at all. Instead, I focused on work. Focused on growing the company. We had just secured a contract with a regional health system for temperature-controlled supply lines. It was the kind of deal I'd dreamed of years ago. I was leading a company that mattered, and no one in my family could see it because they never cared to look. And yet, even with that clarity, I couldn't stop thinking about what Lyle had said. That Mom had told him I needed reality checks. That I took things too personally. That I'd always liked to exaggerate. That one stuck with me. Because it wasn't just about this one lie she accused me of. It was the way she'd spent my entire life making me feel like any ambition I had was dangerous. That wanting more, achieving more, somehow made me less likable. That success was something you whispered about if you had to mention it at all. It made sense, in a way. She married my dad young. Gave up a scholarship to stay close to home. Took a part-time job at the library to help make ends meet. And when I got into Northwestern, she looked at the acceptance letter like it was a betrayal. "You think you're better than us?" she'd asked. I didn't. I just wanted something different. That was the real crime, I guess. I want something different. One night, I was out with Jaya, a close friend I'd met through a professional women's leadership group in Denver. She was the closest thing I had to family some days. Smart, direct, dry-humored. She'd grown up in Queens, and she didn't tolerate emotional nonsense unless you were being honest about it. We sat at a wine bar near downtown Fort Collins, the kind with dim lighting and too many couples pretending not to eavesdrop. "You gonna call her?" she asked, after I told her about the text. "Which one?" I asked, half joking. "The one where she says she wants to talk or the one where she reminds me I'm unrecognizable now?" Jaya shrugged. Same coin. Different sides. I sipped my wine. I just don't know what I'd even say. Like, what's the point? She's not going to suddenly become a different person. She won't, Jaya said, but you might. What does that mean? It means maybe you need to say it. Not for her. For you. That stuck with me. All weekend, actually. By Monday, I still hadn't replied. But I had written a draft message. One I'd typed and deleted at least 3 times. I don't know how to have a real conversation with you without feeling like I'm walking into a trap. You say you want to talk, but you also said I was a liar. You said no one wanted me. That hurt. A lot more than I'll admit. I don't know if you understand that. I hadn't sent it. It felt like throwing a snowball into the ocean. Nothing would come back. Still, something about it felt right. Like peeling off a layer that had been there for too long. 3 days later, I got a call from a 573 number. Missouri. I let it go to voicemail. I didn't check it right away. Later that night, as I was closing up my laptop and putting away some spreadsheets I'd annotated, I finally played the message. It wasn't my mom. It was my aunt, her younger sister, Doreen. Naomi, hey honey, it's Aunt Doreen. I just got off the phone with your mom and, well, she's not doing too great. Not health-wise or otherwise. I think she's lonely. I'm not saying you owe her anything, but I figured you should know. Call me back when you get a sec. I hadn't heard from Aunt Doreen in years. She was the only one in the family who'd ever shown me kindness after Dad died. Even pulled me aside once and told me, "You're not crazy, sweetheart. You just don't fit in a place that wants you small." I called her back. She picked up immediately, like she'd been waiting by the phone. "Naomi, baby. I'm glad you called." We talked for over an hour. Mostly about life. A little about Mom. She's not sick, not like terminal or anything, Doreen clarified. But she's not well either. She gets these spells. Can't focus. Has trouble remembering details. And she's angry. A lot. Blames the world. Sounds familiar, I muttered. Doreen sighed. I know. I know it's complicated. But you deserve to hear that she's struggling. And maybe, just maybe, it helps knowing that part of it has nothing to do with you. That part hit. Because deep down, even with all my success, part of me still carried her voice. Still wondered if I was too much, too cold, too sharp. Even if I hadn't seen her in over a year, she still lived rent-free in the back of my head. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time. Just breathing. Listening to the ticking clock on the wall. My life was full now, measured and well-lived, but there were still echoes. And maybe they'd always be there. The next morning, I wrote a reply to her text. Just one line. I'll talk. But not if you're going to pretend nothing happened. I sent it. Then I turned off my phone and drove to work. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel angry. I felt like something was opening. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe something closer to clarity. 2 days passed. No reply. That didn't surprise me. If I had to guess, Mom was probably stewing in her usual mix of pride and denial, pacing around the living room of her beige-paneled house with the dusty lace curtains and yellowing lamplight. Probably clutching a mug of lukewarm coffee, rehearsing in her head what she'd say if she ever did reply, if she replied at all. I busied myself with work. October meant Q4 prep, carrier contracts, vendor evaluations, and forecasting meetings that made me grateful for caffeine and patient analysts. Every minute of the day was filled with motion and numbers, everything measurable, predictable. Safe. Unlike my family. That Thursday, I stayed late at the office. The cleaning crew had already come through. It was just me, the sound of the HVAC humming overhead, and the city lights twinkling through the glass walls of my corner office. Then I saw the message. It wasn't a text. It was an email. From her. Subject, talk? Just one word. Not even capitalized. The whole thing was just 2 lines, I don't know where to start. I've been thinking about what you said. Can we talk Saturday? I won't fight. Just talk. I stared at it for longer than I should have. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I read it again. And again. Looking for the angle, the trick, the passive-aggressive barb buried in plain sight. But there wasn't one. Not yet, anyway. Finally, I typed, Saturday morning. 10 a.m. I'll call. And hit send. That Saturday, I sat at my kitchen table, phone in hand, staring at the screen like it might bite me. Kiska, ever loyal, sat at my feet, her head resting on my leg. The call rang once, twice, 3 times. She picked up. Hello? Her voice sounded smaller than I remembered. It's me, I said. A beat of silence. Hi, she said. Then cleared her throat. Thanks for calling. I didn't say anything. I waited. I read what you sent, she said. And I've been thinking. A lot. Another pause. I didn't realize how much I've hurt you, she continued. I don't think I ever meant to. But that doesn't mean I didn't do it. I nearly dropped the phone. Because that wasn't a script I'd heard before. I'm not good at this, she admitted. Talking like this. I know, I said. But I want to try. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. My heart was doing this weird flutter thing, not quite panic, not quite relief. Why now? I asked. She exhaled. Because you're not a little girl anymore. And I'm not the woman I used to be. And maybe. I finally realized that if I don't change something, I'm going to lose you. For good. It wasn't eloquent. It wasn't dramatic. But it was the closest to honesty I'd ever heard come out of her mouth. I spent a long time trying to make you small, she continued. I didn't want to admit it, but it's true. You reminded me of all the things I gave up. I couldn't see you without seeing the things I didn't become. And that wasn't fair to you. I blinked, stunned. I think I was jealous, she said. I didn't know what to say. Because how do you respond when the person who's wounded you the most finally pulls back the curtain? I didn't say it's okay. It wasn't. I didn't say, I forgive you. I didn't. Not yet. But I said, thank you for saying that. She breathed out like she'd been holding it in for years. Is it too late? She asked, almost whispering. I looked out the window. The sky was pale blue, and the sun was starting to warm the tips of the trees in my backyard. I don't know, I said honestly. But I'm here. And that's something. After we hung up, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't fall apart or feel fixed. I just sat there. Still. Something inside me had shifted. Not healed. Not neatly wrapped with a bow. But shifted. And sometimes, that's the most important thing. I spent the rest of the day walking Kiska through the neighborhood trails, cleaning the house, organizing bills, and prepping for Monday. I didn't tell anyone about the call. Not even Jaya. It felt like a secret I needed to hold for a while. Not a dirty secret. A quiet one. That night, just before I turned out the lights, I got a text from Lyle. Mom said you talked. I hope it went okay. I stared at it. No emoji. No sarcasm. No request for anything. Just a line. And then a second one, a minute later, I applied at that place in Boulder. Supply coordinator. It's entry level, but it's a start. For once, I didn't feel the need to say, proud of you. I didn't feel the need to encourage or manage him. Instead, I just replied, good. Hope it works out. That was it. Maybe we were all learning new scripts. Maybe not. But at least we weren't reading from the old ones anymore. That following month passed like a slow, strange thaw. After the call with Mom, our communication remained minimal but civil. She sent a follow-up email, clunky but earnest, thanking me again for the conversation. I didn't write back, but I didn't delete it either. I wasn't in a hurry to reconnect. I wasn't angling for reconciliation. But the ice had cracked. That was enough. Lal did end up getting that supply coordinator job in Boulder. He texted once to say he'd started. A week later, he called me. I almost didn't answer. But something made me press the green button. Hey, he said, sounding out of breath. I just wanted to say thanks. For what? For not enabling me anymore. That caught me off guard. I've been thinking a lot, he went on. About the Audi. The loans. The constant scrambling. I never really noticed how much I leaned on you to make up for the parts of me I refused to fix. I didn't say anything. I'm trying now, he added. I'm really trying. I believed him. At least, I believed he meant it at that moment. That was enough too. Meanwhile, back at work, things were taking off. Our new healthcare contract had opened doors we didn't anticipate. I started hiring aggressively, expanding departments, rebuilding the company's internal culture with the kind of care I never got from my own family. We instituted paid family leave. We started a mentorship program for young women entering supply chain logistics. We were featured in a local magazine as one of the best places to work in northern Colorado. My name was in the article. In print. With my photo. Mom sent a text the next day, saw your article. You look powerful. Never thought I'd see the day. I didn't reply. That wasn't bitterness. That was peace. The real moment, the revenge, if you could call it that, came a few months later. Our company hosted its first leadership summit in Denver. We invited investors, regional partners, and executives from across the industry. It was a sleek, polished event held at a hotel downtown. I was slated as the keynote speaker. I hadn't told anyone from my family. Not even Lyle. But a week before the event, he called. I got your company's newsletter, he said. It had your picture on it. You're giving a keynote? I paused. Yeah. That's huge. Yeah. I forwarded it to Mom, he said. Of course he did. She didn't say anything right away. But the night before the event, she texted, I'm in Denver for the weekend. Don't worry, don't ask to come. Just wanted to say I'm proud. Even if I didn't show it when it mattered most. I stared at that text for 5 full minutes. Then I typed back, that's kind of you. I hope you mean it. She replied, I do. I don't expect anything. Just wanted to say it. And for the first time in years, I believed her. Not because she'd suddenly become someone new, but because I had. The day of the summit, I stood behind the curtain, mic clipped, watching the room fill. 400 people. Some from cities I'd never been to. All there to hear what I had to say about building a company, leading through friction, staying grounded. And then I saw her. My mother. Back of the room. Seated alone. Wearing a faded gray cardigan she'd had for years. Small. Still. She didn't wave. She didn't stand. She just watched me. And I stepped out on stage. I started my talk like this. When I was younger, I was told I was too much. Too ambitious. Too loud. Too stubborn. And I believed those things for a long time. I thought success was something to apologize for. But what I've learned, what I'm still learning, is that strength isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision to show up anyway. People clapped. She didn't. But her eyes didn't leave me. After the event, I didn't go to see her. I didn't offer a ride or invite her to lunch. She didn't ask. And that, too, was peace. The real revenge wasn't her humiliation. There was none. The real revenge was living fully. It was building a legacy on my own terms. It was the 146 employees whose paychecks cleared every 2 weeks because of a company I now ran. It was the 2 young interns I mentored who said they'd never met a woman CEO in logistics before. It was watching Lyle clock in every day, learning how to work without shortcuts. It was knowing Mom couldn't diminish me anymore, not with words, not with silence, not with guilt. I never got the dramatic apology. But I got my life back. And in the end, that was more than enough. My mom called me a liar when I told her I'd gotten promoted. I told her the truth, I didn't get promoted, I bought the company. Silence followed. Then my brother, the family golden child, asked me to co-sign a loan. I refused. Instead of chasing their approval, I built my own peace. And that, in the most satisfying way possible, was the revenge they never saw coming.